Last October, I got a bill to raise my property taxes. And I couldn't do that because I couldn't pay that and pay my mortgage too. I lost my house, and I don't live there anymore. And I've had that house for 28 years. There's got to be a different way for them to get money to help people instead of just taking our money and not even finding out how many other people have lost houses. A lot of them. That's all I have to
say. Oh, you're going to hold it for me? Okay, thank you. So I have two parts to my story. One is we were pretty isolated from the homeless situation in Seattle in our neighborhood until last summer when we noticed break-ins. In fact, I had items stolen from my car out of my driveway, and then it came to our attention that there was a homeless camp at the bottom of our street. And so I decided, when I could still walk, I decided to visit the homeless camp. And entering into the park, I stepped in human waste, and I immediately noticed a stroller, bike stroller for kids to ride in, hidden in the woods, full of stolen merchandise. And we reported it to the city, and believe it or not, a couple days later they started cleaning up, and I believe the bill was just short of $20,000 to take care of that mess. But the second half of it is about our homes, and we were lucky enough a few years ago to be able to buy a home when I was able to afford it. And recently, in October, unfortunately, I was hit by a car and ended up a month in intensive care. And so what happened in that point is I turned back to the city, to Social Security, to King County Tax Authority, to City Light, to the utilities, and said, look at me. I can't walk. I have one hand I could use. And they said, oh, what we can do for you is we can put a lien on your house. We can postpone your property taxes. Great. My mortgage company said, we'll put you in the rears, but at 6 months, we want X amount of money. About that time, it was time to do my taxes, and I realized I totaled up Social Security, income tax, property taxes, sales tax. I'm paying $40,000 a year to be in a wheelchair. My money ran out. My bank account ran out. I get in a bus in this condition every day. My partner drives me. And you know what I do? I go over to the east side and take a job. That I had to find a job, because if I didn't take the job, my house would be gone. My 3 kids and my partner and I would be in the woods. So my question is, what confidence can you give to me that my money that I'm paying every year in hidden taxes and direct taxes is going to solve this problem? It's going to stop people from vandalizing my park I like, right? Stop the needles from lying all over. Stop defecating in the grass and pick up trash. Because I want to know why I should get on the bus every day in a wheelchair to pay these taxes.
I want to commend the City Council for taking up the head tax. All of you who are concerned, don't count this against my minutes. All of you who are concerned about crime in your neighborhood, there's crime in my neighborhood too. I'm also concerned. You think that rather than having your property taxes increase, you would want to tax rich people. Blaming the poor. No! I see. Okay. So, blaming poor people for what's going on is like blaming Syrian refugees for ISIS. Amazon is ISIS.
I don't think that you need a new tax. The budget has gone up from less than $4 billion per year in 2012 to $5.6 billion in 2018. And Mike pointed out to me that a lot of that goes for utilities, transportation. So backing out some of those kinds of expenses, the budget still went up from 2014 from 1.86 to $2.5 billion. Where's the money going? Since 2012, the overhead administration expenses were $510 million, so $0.5 billion. This year, they are just under $1 billion. It's unsustainable.
I live next to the site of the Fifth Avenue camp that you can see up here. My family was directly affected, and the neighbors were genuinely traumatized by the campers who intimidated residents and committed property crimes daily, such as theft, trespass, and car break-ins. We have over 400 camps like this in Seattle, and the current policies provide zero mechanisms for residents or the police to deal with crime coming out of these camps. Will you manage these camps, and will you enforce the law?
I want to address this issue. So, it was a question. It was a question, right? One of the...
Y'all, if you don't want questions answered, we don't have to ask questions. You only want to hear from council members.
One of the sources...
I get it. You don't want to hear from the community members who are part of the task force. Oh.
I will take 60 seconds to tell you that one of the sources of information that the task force received was the frustration of the navigation team, which is a collaboration between state-of-the-art outreach workers, who I think some of you have had positive experiences with, working with the Seattle Police Department, who literally cannot place people when they engage with them at encampments, prioritizing areas where there is reported crime because there isn't anywhere to take people. When the Navigation Center opened, when Camp Second Chance opened, they were able to place 300 people, and then those slots were full, and then there was nothing else to do. And that is one of the driving reasons why we committed to making there be a real answer to your completely valid challenge.
Thank you.
Kirsten.
Someone...
Kirsten.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. I'm sorry.
Ready? Go. If property crime is committed, violence is committed, you need to call 911 and the police...
Okay, I'm going to do a time check.
Mike, looks like you got a revolution on your hands. It may not be the one you wanted. The problem isn't that we don't understand your proposals and your policies. We understand what you're trying to sell us, but we don't want to be sold. We want change. We're not satisfied. When you tell us to call 911, we're told that the police officers are handcuffed. And so your policies and what we're doing in this city has unleashed chaos and crime on law-abiding people.
Amen. Can I hold it? Hi, I'm loud. My name is Amber. I've been going after SPD to get data released to the public so that the records are not duplicated. If you were to go and analyze crime right now, you would get duplicate numbers for the same crime. So currently, there's no way to pull current police reports to the public. That said, I would like to see the city release similar information to the public based on using data, right? Because like every event of you spending money is recorded in a database. The public should be able to see that by line item. So, and also, can we at least acknowledge the elephant in the room that this is also a drug problem? I've only heard it being mentioned as a housing problem. This is a drug problem. I live 1 block from Licton Springs. Let me tell you how dangerous it is now.
No. Mike, you've lost all credibility when you say, you said 2 words. You said, call 911. Do you understand that the police have told us to vote you all out so that they can do their jobs? And you're telling us to call 911? You're smiling. You think it's funny? You think it's funny the way we're living? You know, what's happening? And I want to know, here's my question, okay? When you spend all this money and you're spinning all these charts and all that, you're going to have an economist do that. We're the ones living out here with the needles and the feces, et cetera, et cetera. What is going to happen when you spend all this money and the legitimate homeless people that need a place to go have a place? And what are you going to do about the people that are drug addicted, that are mentally ill? For example, the Jewish cemetery up north, 2 people from the navigation team got 2 people to go into a shelter. The rest didn't want to go. And you hear that. We don't want to go. So what are you going to do? Are you going to lock up those people? What provision have you made for the people that do not want to take advantage of your expensive budget? Call 911, Mike.
I'm a lifelong Democrat. I have never been so fed up and disgusted and embarrassed for my city. All right? We do not trust you anymore. You have lied to us about the cost of Pronto, the First Avenue streetcar, the bike lanes, the pension for an accused child rapist. All right? And now Amazon, they're going to start packing up and leaving because of you guys. Why should we trust you? Your policies of letting them camp and trash our city with no consequences are attracting more homeless here. Just look at the tent mansion down by the Space Needle. They moved here from West Virginia. Couldn't they find a place to camp along the way? And for daring to speak out, we're called Nazis and NIMBYs by Deborah Juarez, your colleague. What about the cemeteries up in her district? They're getting crapped on and needles everywhere. Those are Jewish cemeteries. How do you think they feel about that? I coach soccer, and I volunteer for my kids' school, taking them out on field trips. I should not have to look for needles everywhere we step. Thank you.
Prove to us you can responsibly spend the tax money you have already had from us before you try to tax us again. The bike shares, the bike lanes, the list goes on and on. Mental health as well as drugs are the root of the majority of homelessness, and this needs to be addressed immediately. There is a need for more police in this city. Did you know the average response time to the 15 and Market intersection in Ballard is 19 minutes for the most violent of crimes? Focus on the causes and stop trying to use Band-Aids.
Hey, Council, Erica, Mike, thanks for turning this around and allowing for the open mic session, which again, I think is part of the problem here is our voices we're feeling that we're not heard. So I've got 3 questions. I would love for you, Mike, to answer these questions directly. So I want to know where all the money's going. I've been emailing your office. Your aide, Jesse, has been amazing. But the problem is that I still don't have any of the data. I want to understand where the money is going now, what's working, and what actually has a return. Because again, back to these points, giving you more money is none of us are comfortable with doing that right now because the outcomes don't warrant the investments. Number 2, Why do you not support the police and allow them to curb the illegal activities such as the rapes, the beatings, the death, the open dealing, the open theft and theft operations all throughout our streets, around our schools, and in these encampments? We are also for saving lives, but right now they're not allowed to do so. And number 3, I want to know if you're running in 2019.
All right, 3 questions, 1 minute. May the odds be ever in your favor.
So, Eric, I'm happy to share with you. You should look at the 2017 housing report from the Office of Housing. I can't tell you in 1 minute all the places we're spending money. HSD released their return on investment today, so that data is now available to see what those investments went. There's thousands of places to look, and I'm happy to engage in a conversation, but in 1 minute I'm not going to be able to do it. Your second question, sorry. Please. So, we are continuing to hire more police. Specifically, the police chief told me she is hiring more folks in the response center, so that call time, so that people answering the calls, we don't have to put it on hold. But I hear you. Here's a resource constraints we have. We're also hiring community service officers this year. And yes, I plan to run in 2019.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Susan Segala, and I really appreciate you all being here. I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict, and I've been sober for 29 years. And what I see is you continue to enable the same behavior. If you don't change, if you don't hold people accountable for their behavior, they're not going to change. So I would really like to see you holding these people accountable. People really want housing, and some people just want to continue to do that. And unless you make it uncomfortable for them, they're not going to change.
You know, hearing these people talk, I ended up switching sides as I was listening to some of the arguments from over here. So I apologize for that. I can stand over here if you like. It's refreshing to see ordinary citizens revolting against this lousy city council, this quasi-religious organization that tells us how we're supposed to think, what we're supposed to do with our money, what we're supposed to do with our plastic bags. We cannot be trusted, and the council will hire the experts to figure out where to get the money and what to do next. And if you've lived here for a few years and you've seen this city government take on affordability by bulldozing all the backyards in Ballard and putting up $900,000 condos, you might start to think maybe they should just kind of deal with water, sewer, garbage, police, firemen, libraries, and parks, and get out of the rest of this stuff. Because it's not working. Going to the homeless industrial complex and saying, how many millions do you want to not solve the problem? Over and over again. We're sick of it.
First of all, I'd like to say, I don't think economic progress is the enemy here. We're all lucky we don't live in Detroit, right? The other thing, I heard a comment from somebody on the other side earlier, and her comment I actually agreed with. She said, why should the homeowners have more rights than the homeless? And I actually agree with that. But on the flip side, I also don't think the homeless should have more rights than the homeowners. And that's what we're seeing right now. The one other thing that's been mentioned several times tonight, and we're all compassionate here. We all want to see change for the better. We all want to see progress, right? But we want to see measured outcomes as to how and where our money's going. You've mentioned that we can see where our money's going, but we want to see measured outcomes. We want to see progress. We want to see data points on that progress, something that not one of you has mentioned or given an answer to as to when you're going to provide us with those data points for progress as we move forward.
Hey, thanks for opening the mic. I'm going to read this. Under the authority conferred by the Constitution of the State of Washington, the people of the City of Seattle enact this charter as the law of the city for the purpose of protecting and enhancing the health, safety, environment, and general welfare of the people. That is the opening sentence of the city charter, the document that defines how our government is supposed to work, and you council members swear in your oath of office to uphold this charter. You'll note that public health and public safety are the very first things mentioned in this document, and I believe that is because those are your first and foremost responsibilities. But yet, at a recent Ballard Council meeting, someone asked Councilmember O'Brien, hey, why can't we just enforce the laws? And you know what his answer was? Yeah, that doesn't work. I would recommend that everyone in this room, when you vote in local elections, vote for people who put public health and public safety first.